All right, guys, it's happy Monday. Another Monday. Get up and start work again. Yeah, I don't know. I just get tired of Mondays. Is anybody else tired on Monday? I'm going to be taking a trip, so I'm going to try to have an editorial for you tomorrow morning. No promises. I should have one for you tomorrow morning. But for the next few days until the 21st, that's next Friday, I'm going to be on a trip. I'm going to take you on the trip, so don't think there's not going to be any videos. I'm going to try to do a cop watch in the city to where we are flying, even though the wife has said, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to get shot. So we're driving to LAX tomorrow. We're going to take a trip. I'm going to take all of you on that trip. Hang with me. I know some of you are going to be like, so no cop videos, no editorials. But you know what? It's a trip. You guys get to go and see a place. And if you watch my videos all the time, you may know where I'm going because I've said where the wife is from. But I'm going to visit in-laws. We're going to go visit her cousins and her parents and all of them. So I met her dad. Her dad and her stepmom came out here for the wedding. So I met them at that point. But yeah, I'm going to take a trip starting tomorrow. So there you go. This editorial this morning I thought was very interesting. It has to do with what we do. And I wanted to give it to you. Also, did you hear that President Trump, or not President Trump, the White House, I don't know if that means his staffers or what, has reached out to the governor of South Dakota to get President Trump's bust, that's his face, whatnot, added to Mount Rushmore. That's a huge undertaking. So, and I'm not making that up. I saw it on the news. President Donald Trump wants his face added to Mount Rushmore. That's huge. So let's get to our editorial this morning. This one really deals with what we do all the time. There's so many things, though, that I could have chose from. Chicago, they had looting overnight. They alleged that someone fired at the police. The police started firing back. So there was shots fired. There's more protesting in Oregon. I mean, there's protesting all over the U.S. right now, but man, they're really hitting some cities. I heard Chicago. Oh, there was a police-involved shooting yesterday, right? Which caused some tensions last night, and then overnight there was looting and rioting, and they were breaking into business like Saks Fifth Avenue and some other businesses I saw the names of. But apparently the police fired into the crowd as they alleged the crowd fired at them. Let's move on, guys, with this editorial. Thank you to South Bend Tribune for the story. Floyd Wallace crouched down, rolled on the sidewalk on a hot July evening outside of West Lafayette Fire Station 1 in Lafayette, Indiana. On this evening, Wallace wore camel pants, a red hoodie sweatshirt, and a full-face winter knit stocking cap. A few days later, he wore similar clothes outside of the Farmer's Bank in Mulberry, only he wore a pantyhose over his head and a short-sleeved red shirt. It's not illegal to wear unreasonably warm clothes, roll on a public sidewalk, or crouch behind a fence and take video from public places, as the videographers repeatedly make clear in these encounters with police. Getting the police called to the scene is the point of these First Amendment audits, as Lafayette Police Chief Patrick Flannelly called them during a meeting Thursday with Greater Lafayette's Diversity Roundtable. The encounter with police are recorded by YouTube video producers such as Brian Wilkins, a Lafayette man who publishes videos under the name Chuck Bronson and has nearly 34,000 online subscribers. Wilkins was cited in April for violating the stay-at-home order while he was following a Lafayette police case. Formal charges have not been filed on that case, according to online court records. The other person seen recording Wallace is from Omaha Cop Block, another YouTube channel, according to the West Lafayette video. A person, presumably Wallace, responded to questions left on for him on a Facebook page titled Floyd Wallace for Omaha Mayor 2021. The page contains images of Wallace from the videos. He told the Journal and Courier he owns the Omaha Cop Block channel, and he said he would call to answer questions. He did not call and later declined an interview, writing, "I don't talk to media, y'all trying to make us look bad." Wilkins and Wallace refused to identify the other man seen recording the encounters. Wilkins denied knowing Wallace, even though Wallace is seen in the Mulberry video in Wilkins' SUV. Wilkins repeatedly responded to questions about the videos from West Lafayette last month and Mulberry earlier this month by saying, "I'm not sure what you're talking about." In the Mulberry video, a deputy holds Wallace at gunpoint until backup arrived. Wallace said, responding to questions asked over Facebook Messenger, "I don't worry about being shot." The audit portion of the videos are to monitor police officer reactions and make sure they do not violate a person's civil rights, such as forcing a person to produce identification if they are not suspected of a crime, according to the producer's comments on the video. Meanwhile, the cameraman interact with police, taunt the officers about how they're doing their job if they believe the officers are crossing a legal line. The encounters are provocative and often confrontational. West Lafayette Deputy Police Chief David Van Vactor was asked about the July 29th incident outside of the fire station. Van Vactor said of the incident that ended with Wallace's arrest, "We didn't know what's going on. We have a complaint about this individual is acting suspicious." It's not a coincidence that Wallace is the on-camera frontman in these audits. He's black, and it's a point that the filming team made during the August 2nd incident in Mulberry. The titled video is "Filming While Black." Wallace, 24, of the 800 block of Park Avenue in Omaha, Nebraska, wasn't arrested in West Lafayette for rolling on the sidewalk or crouching behind a fence outside of the West Lafayette Fire Station No. 1 at North Street and Northwestern Avenue. Wallace was arrested on suspicion of resisting law enforcement for pulling away from the police officer who tried to detain him for officer safety, while officers figured out what was going on outside of the fire station, according to police. Detained for suspicion and then arrested for resisting. Is suspicion a misdemeanor or a felony? Maybe it's an infraction. Prosecutors have not formally filed any charges against Wallace, according to online court records, and police said they have sent the paperwork to the prosecutor's office for review. In Mulberry, Wallace was held at gunpoint, detained, handcuffed, and eventually released. All the while, a YouTube video team member yells at deputies, citing law that says Wallace doesn't have to give deputies his name because he's not suspected of a crime. He's only behaving suspiciously, which is not a crime, and there was no articulable suspicion of a crime. If there had been suspicion of a crime, Indiana law requires suspects to produce ID, same in California, according to comments made by Flannelly at the Diversity Roundtable meeting. When the first West Lafayette officer arrived on scene, Wallace ran. When Wallace stopped running, he had his phone in his right hand, holding it as if he's recording a video, and his left hand was inside his hoodie pocket. 7 times the officers asked Wallace to take his hand out of his pocket. Van Vactor said, "Our concern was that the individual had a hand concealed in the pocket of his hoodie. It's an officer safety issue." Why do they always say officer safety? Well, it's officer safety. I could break a nail. When Wallace removes his hand, he takes a large stride to approach the officer, coming to less than a foot of the officer, according to the video. Keeping space between a person being stopped and the officer gives the officer time to react if he's threatened. It's called a reactionary gap, Van Vactor said. Yeah, a gap. Several times, Wallace takes a step or two away from the West Lafayette officer, then approaches him. The officer tells him to stop 6 times and says enough twice before saying "we're done" and putting him in handcuffs, according to the video. Initially, Wallace was told he was arrested for trespassing, but the video producers argued he was always on public property. Wallace posted bond and was released from the Tippecanoe County Jail as soon as the book-in process was completed, according to jail records. Other than the allegation of resisting, Van Vactor said the incident was not criminal. Well, if the incident wasn't criminal, how can resisting be criminal? There you go. Van Vactor noted about the man yelling at officers, "It falls under the First Amendment that they can say whatever they want to say. Ultimately, they are able to do what they did in this situation." but he was arrested for resisting. You're not committing a crime, but you're resisting my badge, so I'm arresting you. The yelling at officers can become a distraction and cause concern among officers for their safety, Van Vactor noted. I also want to note something. The reason that they didn't get me for resisting is because I gave my name 4 times. But Deputy Rose said, you're not spelling your... First, let me go back through this for those who don't know what I'm talking about. You may not have seen it. Deputy Rose of the Sheriff's Department incorrectly said I jaywalked when I did not. It was not jaywalking there. And so he wanted my name. I gave my date of birth. He repeated my date of birth and wrote it down. I saw him writing it, and he said it out loud on the video. Then I say my name 4 times because I wouldn't spell my name, which you don't have to spell it. You can say common spelling. He arrested me for resisting. The reason he never got a resisting peace officer conviction is because there was no crime for me to resist. For one. For two, I gave my name 4 times. I didn't resist. I didn't commit a crime. So right here, this Van Vactor guy says, well, they didn't commit a crime. They were allowed to do what they were doing, but he was arrested. Yeah, for resisting. They detained him for suspicion. Suspicion's not a crime. This is going to get dropped. Van Vactor said it did put all the participants involved in danger, divide officers' attention, and we don't know their intentions. Well, we do know their intentions. They want to arrest you. And they'll hurt you if they have to arrest you. There also are concerns that these audits thin out police protection in the city while officers deal with the situation. Van Vactor said it took away several police resources from doing their job in other parts of the city to deal with this unknown situation. After the police left in Mulberry, a woman is seen chiding the man who videoed the encounter, saying they saw a man rolling on the ground and called the police thinking he was high on meth. She said their behavior scared the people and the children in the town. Other people in the Mulberry video taunt Wallace and the other YouTube producers for their provocative. One woman on Wilkins' video accused them of setting up the whole thing, to which someone in YouTube group replied, it wasn't staged. The response from the officers was not set up. As Wilkins and the others drive out of town, they are heard on the video yelling insults at the people in the town. And then inside the SUV, the group calling the town of Mulberry racists and Trump lovers, among other insults. I just thought I'd bring this to you real quick. And the biggest thing I wanted to gain out of this is they were arrested for resisting. And there was no crime committed. How do you resist a cop if there's no crime? Well, a cop has to do his job, and if you resist... But that's what I was saying before on another video. In other videos I've said, when I say police act more like law enforcement officers than public servants. And people go, they are law enforcement officers. Not all the time. Sometimes they're public servants, but they lose that and they go, some of them, not all of them, but some of them lose that and they go, I'm a law enforcement officer. And you go, yeah, but there's no law broken. There's no crime. What are you enforcing right now? You're resisting me. What? Hey! Hey! You know, I mean, that's how you feel sometimes because you have to obey an officer no matter what. It's like, give me your papers or I will sick the dog on you. You know, we don't have to obey officers if we're not committing a crime. We can tell the officer, go back to work, dude. I mean, there's certain times you do obey. I mean, if you get too close and they're trying to conduct an investigation, yeah, take a few steps back. But if you're far enough back, say, no, I'm far enough back. I'm not obstructing or delaying. Go ahead and do your job. I'm fine. But there's times when maybe they ask you something and sure. But sometimes officers do overstep their bounds and you have to correct them. You have to say, no, you're wrong. And then they arrest you for resisting. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below if you can figure that Zen riddle out. Community Leo Watch needing coffee on a Monday. Thank you for watching, guys. And remember, I'm taking a trip for 10 days. I'm taking you guys with me. Exciting, huh? Not really.